Is Lucid a buy or a sell? Let's get started with the model. This is a mid-cap company, 9.1 billion market cap. They're trading at $3.02 a share, and they have 3 billion shares outstanding. Lucid manufactures and sells EVs. It was founded in 2007, headquartered in Newark, California. Let's look at their financials. The way you value a company is you estimate the free cash flows into the future, and then you discount those numbers back to today's value. That's what we're doing in this video. And free cash flow is cash flow from operations minus capital expenditures. They don't generate much revenue, so negative free cash flow every single year. Net income is the profit or loss on the income statement. It's revenue minus expenses. That's also negative every single year. Revenue is the sales for the company, and that was real small in 2021, 27 million. Then it jumped 2,100% to 600 million. It actually went down in 2023, down 2%, under 600 million. Then it grew 23% to 730 million in the trailing 12 months. We estimated 4 years of future free cash flows. We also estimated a terminal value, which is all cash flows past year 4, that's 19 billion. We discounted those numbers back to today using the weighted average cost of capital. We get a value of the company of $12 billion. We divide that by 3 billion shares, and we get a calculated stock price of $4. They're trading at $3, so they're trading at a 26% discount. It's a buy according to the model. Do you think it's a buy or sell? Let me know in the comments. There are 36 companies in the same industry as Lucid, and if they have a number in red, they're worse than the median. If they have a number in blue, they're better. Of course, they spend a decent amount in CapEx because they manufacture cars, 865 million. Toyota spends the most, 21 billion. Their debt-to-equity ratio is 0.8. For every dollar of equity, 80 cents of debt. They don't pay a dividend. They still have a big negative in free cash flow. Rivian is the worst, negative 5 billion. They rank 13th in market cap at 9 billion. They should probably be higher than NIO. NIO is 8.9 billion. Their price to book is equal to the average. Price to book is stock price over book value per share. We can't look at their PE or price to free cash flow. They have negative earnings and negative free cash flow. Price to sales is a bit high, 12.5, not as high as Tesla. That means investors are paying $12.50 for $1 of revenue. Price to sales is market cap divided by revenue, or stock price divided by revenue per share. And the stock is trading between its 52-week low and 52-week high, a little closer to the 52-week low. If you put $10,000 into this company when they started trading, you would have been miserable because at one point it was over $50,000, but the stock came down well over 90% from that point. So your $10,000 would be $3,000, a loss of 69%. If I bought this stock at IPO and I told my wife our $10,000 is worth $3,000, but at one point it was $50,000, she always says, "Why don't you just sell it then?" I was like, well, I guess if I was psychic, I would have sold it, but how would I have known that? It's so easy to just say that. If I bought Tesla at IPO and at one point my $10,000 was $50,000 and I sold it, then I missed out because my $10,000 probably would have turned into like 10 million. To summarize, I have them trading at a 26% discount, ranking 4 to 10. I'm not too big on this stock, so would I buy it short term? 4 to 10. Long term, 2 out of 10. Ratios are real weak, 2 out of 10. We can't even look at their PE or price to free cash flow. Financials, 3 out of 10. Their revenue isn't growing that much. On a percentage basis, it looks like a lot, but 700 million is not that much, especially when they had 600 million in 2022. And their free cash flow looks awful. Let's take a look at their income statement. This is the third quarter 23, third quarter 24. Revenue up quite a bit from 140 million to 200 million. Let's see if they give a breakdown of the revenue. Revenue in North America, 147 million. That's up from 121 million. Middle East went from 13 million to 50 million, huge jump. But other went down from 4 million to 3 million. Their total revenue went up 62 million or 45%. The way they generate revenue is selling vehicles, also from services and parts, powertrain kits, retail merchandise, and regulatory credits. The 45% increase was mainly driven by higher deliveries of their Lucid Air cars. That was partially offset by lower average selling price. So they decreased their price, but they're selling more cars. Below revenue is cost of revenue. These are all the expenses directly related to generating the revenue, which is more than double their revenue, 412 million cost of revenue. That's not how you run a business. But the goal is to scale and grow, and eventually the revenue would be higher than cost of revenue. They probably have lots of fixed costs. Their cost of revenue actually went down 12% from last year. In 2023 it was $470 million, now it's $413 million. Cost of revenue includes the cost of parts, materials, shipping, overhead, depreciation, IT costs, payroll, warranty costs, charges to reduce inventory, also charges for excess obsolete inventory. The reason cost of revenue decreased $57 million or 12% was due to decreases in the inventory write-downs and losses from their purchase commitments. And that was partially offset by higher delivery of their Lucid Air vehicles. Below cost of revenue is R&D, $324 million. Below that is selling, general, and administrative expenses, $233 million. And restructuring, only $76,000. So their operating expenses went up 33% from last year. Last year it was $421 million, now it's $558 million. For R&D, that increased $94 million or 41% from last year. The increase was mainly payroll of $63 million and $26 million for prototype material, engineering, design, and testing services. For selling, general, and administrative, that increased $44 million or 23%. That was due to payroll of $26 million, also higher utilization of contractors and professional fees of $10 million, and an increase of $8 million in facility costs, the costs for their manufacturing facilities. So their operating loss is $771 million, last year $752 million. They had a loss of $240 million from the fair value of derivatives, because they have to value the convertible debt they issue. As the stock price goes up and down, the value of this debt changes. So they had a net loss of about $1 billion for the quarter. Last year, a net loss of $630 million. And their shares outstanding are going up a little bit. Last year was a little under 2.3 billion. Now it's a little over 2.3 billion. So earnings per share is net loss over shares outstanding. A loss per share of 41 cents. Last year was 28 cents. Let's look at their balance sheet. Current assets $4.2 billion. Current liabilities $1.1 billion. So current ratio about a 4. Plenty of current assets to cover their current liabilities. They have about $3.5 billion of cash or short-term investments, $98 million of accounts receivables. This is how much money other companies owe them when they sell cars on credit. A lot of inventory, $500 million. Here's a breakdown of the inventory, $212 million of raw materials. The second step is work in progress, $70 million. And the final step, finished goods, $224 million. That's when they can sell the car, when it's a finished good. It looks like the last step, the finished goods, are SKD units for final assembly in Saudi Arabia. SKD stands for semi-knockdown kits. It's common for companies to ship the parts to another factory, like in another country. Then they assemble the parts in that country. It's a lot cheaper than manufacturing in the US. So they send all the parts to Saudi Arabia, and then they put the car together there. Then they ship the car back to the US. It doesn't sound efficient, but it's much cheaper that way. Their total assets, $8.5 billion, same as last year. They have a lot of PP&E, $3.2 billion. Here's a breakdown of the PP&E, $70 million of land, $900 million of building and improvements, machinery, $1.4 billion, computer equipment, $88 million, $250 million of leasehold improvements, construction in progress, $1.1 billion. So the total is $3.9 billion. They depreciated $700 million. So the book value is $3.2 billion. They do give a breakdown of the construction in progress, the $1.1 billion. $800 million is machinery and tooling, $230 million of construction, and the rest is leasehold improvements, $37 million. They have $4.7 billion of liabilities. Their biggest liability is long-term debt, $2 billion. That's a lot of debt for a company that has negative free cash flow. They have over $1 billion of redeemable convertible preferred stock. The holder of the preferred stock gets a guaranteed interest rate, and they can convert that debt to equity at any point they want. Assets minus liabilities equals equity, $2.7 billion of equity. They raised $15 billion from selling their business, selling stock, and they took that $15 billion and burned $12.5 billion. So the value of the company, according to the balance sheet, is $2.7 billion, and most of that is cash. Let's look at the statement of cash flows. This is trailing 9 months. Their operating cash flow starts with their net loss of $2.3 billion. Then we add back the non-cash items on the income statement. we adjust for changes in working capital. So they have a cash loss of $1.5 billion. Last year was $2 billion. So that's one of the few improvements. And they purchased nearly $600 million of PP&E. Last year, over $600 million. In their financing section, they added $1 billion of redeemable convertible preferred stock and another $750 million of convertible preferred stock. So in their financing section, they had a cash inflow of $1.7 billion. Last year, a cash inflow of $3 billion. You can see the cash at the beginning of the accounting period, $1.4 billion, and the cash at the end of the accounting period, as of 9/30, is $1.9 billion. And this number will appear on the balance sheet. If you scroll up to the balance sheet, you'll see right here, $1.9 billion of cash and cash equivalents. Let's take a look at the stock on Simply Wall Street. Its last price, $302, $9 billion market cap. It is up 17% in the past week. Must have been some good news, good earnings. Down 29% in the past year. It looks like this was a SPAC because it started at $10 in September 2020 and it was $10 for several months. Then when the SPAC acquired this company, it shot way up to $57. That was in February 2021. A couple months later, it came down to $18, and then it came back up again to $55 in November 2021. But since that point, it's fallen off a cliff. Look how much it's come down, and it's never rebounded. Its all-time low was $2.13. Actually, it was $2.01. That looks like November 2024, so last month. So it's up 50% from that bottom point. I'm sure not many people picked it up at $2.01. Simply Wall Street does not value this company. 10 analysts priced this stock at $282. They say the stock is 6% overvalued. They were pretty much pre-revenue in 2019, 2020, all the way up through 2021. I mean, $4 million is pretty much pre-revenue. For a car manufacturer, at least. If you ran a small business, $4 million may be huge. But for a company like this, it's nothing. And then they started selling cars. In their first real quarter, they were up to $27 million. This is for the trailing 12 months. The following quarter, $84 million. It more than doubled to $180 million in mid-2022. $376 million. It's looking great. $608 million the next quarter. Then $750 million. And it never got that high again. It dropped to $695 million, then dropped to $595 million, then $618 million, $668 million, $730 million. They can still scale and grow, but you don't want to see a drop this early in the game. You would expect their revenue to go up a lot each quarter, like it did from this point to this point. They didn't have any debt in 2020 and most of 2021. At the end of 2021, they added $2 billion of debt. Now they have pretty much the same, a little over $2 billion. Their equity is always higher than their debt, which is good, but their equity is pretty much cash. And most people think this is a good thing to have a lot of cash. If you really understand stock valuation, you'll know that sitting on a lot of cash is meaningless. The CEO's salary was $468,000 in 2020. Now it's $584,000. Total compensation $7 million. 10-year CEO, 6 years. In the past year, one really big insider buy, nearly 400 million shares from public investment fund. That's why the stock went up a lot, this big buy. They're the sovereign wealth fund for Saudi Arabia, the same country that manufactures their cars. And then one insider sell, Eric Bach, 90,000 shares at $314. He's the chief engineer of this company. So 59% of the company is owned by Saudi Arabia, 30% by the general public, 10% by institutions, and 2% by insiders. So the Saudi Arabian government is the biggest shareholder at 59%. Then Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. Michael Klein organized a SPAC that acquired Lucid. They turned $43 million to $3.3 billion. You'll see Morgan Stanley, First Trust, Citigroup, and to bottom out the list, Invesco. Their employee count has gone up from 1,900 to 6,500. At one point, it was 7,200. And the ticker trades on the NASDAQ, Mexican Bolsa, Deutsche Börse, and Bulgaria Stock Exchange. So if you want a copy of my discounted cash flow model, watch the video in the top right corner. Thanks for watching.